love it.
Wow, welcome.
We were floating there. It was smooth,
Yeah, the ultimate yacht rock station.
But
IoTCoffeeTalk.com.
I don't know if a lot of people didn't realize that that's what this really is a yacht rock station.
Yeah. Screw that Van Halen band, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, we're just talking about how one of the greatest yacht rock bands in the world were a bunch of studio musicians, right?
Right. They were just good. And you're right. You talked earlier. Some of these guys were kind of this jazz musicians, and you saw this fusion of jazz rock. Well, it's kind of like Steely Dan was hard to define what kind of music they were, because a lot of their stuff was kind of a lot of jazzy,
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, when you think about it, and those two guys always, I heard they had guys for every album made, and I heard they were just brutal, just again, until they just got this perfect thing. But yeah, you listen to an album like Asia, from Steely Dan, and it's like, is this rock? Is this jazz? Is this some kind of fusion? It's the kind of music, though, that you want to listen to, like when we're late night at a bar on the top of a building in Vegas, and just chilling, having a scotch or whatever, and looking out over the city. And you want a little bit of yacht rock going there.
Yeah.
Or if you're actually on a yacht, or you're out there on the ocean like you've been.
Yeah. On a cruise. Yeah. You know what? If this is a little bit of a makeup. No, it's not really makeup. We're still
good.
Recording. Yeah, we're doing it. But yeah, it's a little bit an off-tempo episode, right? It's sort of fitting in between two quarter notes. But we're recording on a Saturday, which is unusual, but we figured, hey, we got to get this thing out there. Yeah. But if we recorded yesterday, yes, I would have been on a cruise, and I was going to sing The Love Boat.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We're going to see you on the Lido deck for cocktails at 6 p.m. And maybe if you're lucky, Captain Stubing will join you.
Yeah. And Isaac will serve you some drinks.
Isaac, remember Isaac? I loved Isaac, man. He's the best.
Yeah, they had great shows back then, man. I'm telling you.
That was the good old days, man. Yeah.
And the doctor with the libido on overdrive, that guy.
Oh my God.
I forgot what his name was. He was Doc what? Did they just call him Doc?
Maybe they just called him Doc. That's probably the easiest thing to do,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. A lot of young people today don't know about all those sitcoms from back then that we had. And a lot of them were made by like the same people, like Aaron Spelling and a bunch of other people. And that just I got like 5 or 6 shows going at the same time, and they're all kind of the same. Just different. I got Ricardo Montalban over here on Fantasy Island.
Well, I think they were recirculating actors through all those shows, right? Like Love Boat had like every celebrity at the time, kind of cruising through that thing. And so it was kind of fun in that way.
Yeah. Right? And if you think about when you spitballing, like we're sitting there in a boardroom, in Hollywood, and we're like, all right, what do you got, guys? Give me what you got. Okay, here's the deal. Because these shows, a lot of them are 30 minutes, some are an hour, but even if it's an hour, there's only like 38 minutes or whatever of content. And so you can imagine the Love Boat, and he goes, here's the deal. Every episode, time's going to be eaten up by people getting on the boat, boats going out, boats coming back. We're going to have guest stars on every time. And then the writers are just going to come up with some new ridiculous thing each time, and it's going to be on a boat. Oh, and if you have an extra, all right, I have this other idea, Fantasy Island. People are going to fly to an island every week, and and we'll have guest stars on there, and some kind of crazy thing will happen on the island, and Tattoo will go, the plane, and something will happen, and then they'll leave. And so we don't have to overthink too much because a lot of the formula is built in, just new people and some new crazy idea. And if we have to keep firing these stupid writers each week, that's what we'll do, and if we don't get good content. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you're right. That was like the TikTok of the 70s. That's how they did it back then. Right?
Yes, it
Because
is. It is.
people had quite an attention span, and all those shows made a huge impression.
They did. They did.
Yeah.
Those actors, actresses back then got so big. Remember, they had the Battle of the Network Stars.
Oh man, I love that, man.
Yeah, it's like the Olympics for TV star people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wow. Gosh.
What are we talking? See, this is what happens when we do an episode on Saturday.
But it is related to IoT somehow.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it vibing. That was some nice.
Well,
I love the acoustic guitar. I'm a big fan of that Spanish guitar style.
Oh yeah,
it's such a good sound.
Flamenco,
absolutely. You know, I'm waiting to hear little Herb Albert, the Tijuana Brass, show up. You know.
Oh my God. Well, we had mariachis chasing us all over the place. We did a whole Mexican Riviera cruise, right, for a week.
Nice.
It was nice. And not you know. Unfortunately, I didn't get it completely unplugged. It was difficult too. But
did you get to hang out with Sammy Hagar?
No, I didn't. We spent maybe about 3 hours on shore, and just hung out in the port there, and really didn't go anywhere. I mean, you know, they arrived at like 6 a.m. in the morning, and we had to get back on the ship by 2. Okay. So it didn't give us a lot of time to do much. So
6 a.m. at Cabo Wabo.
Yeah, but it's changed a lot. It's become super resorty.
Okay. All right.
You know?
Right.
But yeah, a lot of mariachi bands chasing you around as you're trying to enjoy your margarita.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty much all we did when we went out.
That's what you got to do.
Hunt down some good margaritas somewhere.
Yes. That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, totally. But the insanity wasn't stopping, right? I mean, I tried to unplug and couldn't really get away from all the crap that was happening during the week, which there's just so many, you know,
data, the news,
news and headlines coming out that is just to remember. I don't remember. Yeah. So what was big this week for you?
I already forgot. I don't know. I've been trying to move into a house.
Yeah.
You know.
And you know what's really pathetic is we're analysts. We're supposed to know everything. You know.
You know, I did.
Really pathetic.
I think I posted some stuff. Maybe that can help jog my memory. What did I post over this week that was super relevant? Let's go onto the LinkedIn machine. Yes. Well, you know how you hear old people and they're like, "Oh, let's go on the internet machine."
Well, you know what? It is funny. I think we both intersected on a post about how devices are diminishing our cognitive abilities, like smartphones diminishing your memory. You know what?
Right.
I think it's very true. I mean, we brought it up so many times on the show. It's like kind of ridiculous. But the cognitive offload, I mean, it really is a thing. And it was funny to see somebody chime in and say, well, you know, it's really about ethical XYZ. I was thinking, look, don't make excuses. You know, these technologies are having an impact on us. And I will be the first to admit it. I don't remember stuff like I used to. And you don't remember? You know, it was crazy. I look back at some of the deliverables that I used to produce in my early consulting days. Dude, this stuff was insane. And also voluminous. It was like tons of stuff, but I used to be able to pump that stuff out so fast, you know? But whether it's a technical spec doc or architecture document or whatever, any of the hundreds of different types of deliverables I produced, today, I don't think I could do it. Quite honestly.
Tough, man. Things were a lot happening back then in the brain.
What the hell happened?
Maybe several things happened. You know, I often joke, but I'm half serious that, you know, half my brain went to the smartphone.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember anybody's phone number or address anymore?
No.
No, because it's on your phone.
Dude,
So
I'm telling you.
stuff that you always memorize. It's like if you use it, you lose it, man.
Yeah,
And like
you
anything.
really do. You really do. And I think you are, like, for instance, math. I'm really bad at it now. I just have a gut feeling that 2 + 2 = 5.
Well, that's because the marketers keep saying stuff like that. They keep saying 1 + 1 = 3. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Here, absolutely.
Let me push your mind with nonsense. And then you'll believe it as fact.
Here's some news blurb I saw, during the week. All right. You remember Mira Murati? She was the CTO at OpenAI. And so, she, like a lot of people that kind of bailed on OpenAI, and, her whole deal was, and we've talked about this, it's the hallucination thing. But what really got her was, I can't get the same answer from the LLM for the same question. If 50 different people at different locations all ask OpenAI's LLM a question, they might get 50 different answers. And what they should get is the same exact correct answer, but they don't.
Yeah.
And so her startup is all trying to find some deterministic something or consistency, because how could you trust it if it's a different answer every time, Now, sometimes they might be vaguely right, or there's just variations of the right answer. But yeah, I know. So that really bothered her greatly. And I totally get it. That's like if our calculator said 1 + 1 = 3, and then the next time 1 + 1 = 7, and then 1 + 1 = 2. Oh, all right, we're good.
Yeah, and see that, and that's the thing, right? I mean, we have been talking about this problem, this first principle problem from the very beginning, 3 years ago, right? Even before that, when everybody was hyping AI, we were reminding the industrial sectors that were looking at IoT and metaverse and all this other stuff in AI, that look, injecting probabilistic technologies or functions or capabilities into your deterministic flow, it's introducing risk, it's introducing errors, right? So be very careful, or use it in a fit for purpose way. But the problem, I think, now is everybody wants to shoehorn AI into this, shoe of expectations, unreasonable expectations, and it doesn't fit.
Wait a second. Did you just invent something new?
Yes.
Did you just create the shoe of unreasonable expectations? It's awesome. That's gold. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You gotta go and
put that unreasonable expectations. You tried to fit this. You tried to shoehorn some bullshit technology into something that already works. So, like, I don't know, we built this system for air traffic control, and it all works pretty, it knows where you are and everything. And we said, we're going to shoehorn some generative AI in there, and planes are falling out and crashing into each other. Yeah, but we did it, baby. We did it. I'm going to get a raise. My boss said that I had to shoehorn some AI into the shoe of air traffic control, and it didn't fit, but we made it fit. We just pounded on that stuff until it fit. And,
but don't you think that's what it feels like? And the reason why, and it's funny because you start, what I did see over the course of the cruise were folks talking about how they're creating this whole FOMO that you're not adopting AI fast enough. What the hell is that supposed to mean? If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Who gives a shit? We have been living without AI perfectly fine for most of civilization. It's not solving any notable problems that I'm aware of revolutionary scale, right?
Right.
In fact, the frustration of the industry is that there is no huge benefit on the other side of all this investment, but the shoehorn, the shoehorn of AI into that shoe of unreasonable expectation. That's because they need that to happen in order to somehow eke out an inkling of return on all that investment. And it's not happening, and that's what's scaring the crap out of everyone, right? And then obviously, it looks like the whole circular thing is going crazy. People are getting really concerned. They're not buying, Jensen's story anymore that, hey, this is all organic. No, it's not. And then I
am paying these people to use my stuff.
But it boils down to this, man. If you listen to like CNBC and some of these guys that get on there talking about how AI, there's so much demand for AI. What do you mean by AI? You mean AI infrastructure? Yeah, sure. But that's being, that demand is all investment. It's not end market AI generated, monetized.
That's right.
Revenue.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference. So don't call it AI infrastructure. Call it, don't call it AI, call it AI infrastructure.
It's infrastructure. It's just like people love to compare .com, and they talk about all the fiber optic cables that were laid during the late 90s and early 10. And they're like, and then it all blew up, and Cisco was the most valuable company in the world, and then it just all crashed. And
people don't remember that.
But now that being said, it's not necessarily an analogy. We ended up using all that fiber eventually, and so we overbuilt. So the question is, if we have a crash, will we end up still using the GPUs, or does the GPUs have as much utility as fiber optic cable does? Maybe it doesn't.
No, I don't think so, because I think the fiber optics, I don't think they were on they weren't on this whole 1-year cadence that Lisa and Jensen keep claiming is this pace of innovation that AI infrastructure is on, right? Now, if you believe it, then a lot of stuff is going to be outdated. At best, if it'll be sold off and somebody else is going to buy it at a penny on a dollar. And then it'll eventually, there will be bankruptcy. I mean, it's the whole thing. That's the whole bubble that people are talking about. When that bubble collapses, all this infrastructure will have to be somehow, it will be liquidated. In some fashion, and maybe it'll be given to crypto guys. Who knows? But I don't think. I don't think that we're going to see. We're going to see a lot of this crazy investment in these uber scale data centers. I think there will be diffusion because we've talked about how there is some utility in this stuff, definitely on the coding side of stuff, right?
Sure.
And I think in coding and in software, let's say modernization, there's huge potential for it used properly, right?
Right.
All this vibe coding shit, man, got to be really careful with it. But in the hands of somebody who's, an expert developer, or at least knowledgeable and experienced developer, it can be a great, force multiplier, right? So, fine on my end, but
okay. I just rose because I'm tethered. I'm tethering my laptop to my phone, which is trying to eke out some 5G love out of here, since I don't have my 2 gigabit fiber optic installed yet.
Oh yeah, okay.
But when I do, it's going to rock.
Yeah, it's going to be friggin' hellacious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
can. So you got like some of the top AI people, like what's the guy's name who just left Meta?
Yan
LeCun?
LeCun. Yeah.
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 Isn't he and other people kind of coming out and saying
This is a dead end.
LLMs, there's a dead end. That's not the path to AGI or anything.
Yeah.
And that we're going to keep, he said it's not, it's only going to scale maybe a little bit more and then we're out of gas,
Yeah.
and it's not the path. Like we got to rethink.
Yeah.
And so I see him and other people who are in that saying those things. But then back to our friends at CNBC and Fox Business and everybody on Wall Street, they're acting like everything's perfect and we're headed to, super intelligence. I'm like, well, who are we supposed to trust? The people who know the stuff or the people who are trying to get rich off of the stuff or, or the analysts who are, it's such a weird thing doing the show and talking about the truth of AI when all our customers are the ones who are all in with AI, right?
Well,
full speed ahead.
they're also, a lot of them are also asking the question, right? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of them are not, not a lot of them are not, huge participants, or let's call it beneficiaries, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not a profitable game for OEMs. Not like HP or Dell or any of these guys are finding a more profitable business in AI infrastructure. They're not. In fact, it's pretty now becoming well known, and something we've brought up on our show here as well in the past, that the business of neo cloud is unprofitable. It has to prove itself to be viable at some point. It's not. And being an OEM is not fun either. In fact, x86 or traditional data center is way more profitable. It's a better business. And, as
doing
you
real
see
stuff.
these guys grow their AI infrastructure business, they're growing an unprofitable, a less profitable business. So it's diluting their earnings.
Yeah.
So, we brought it up before, right? There's scaling a bad business. It's like, how smart is that? And how?
I know. I don't know. I don't want to guess. It was a JP Morgan. Some investment bank or whatever folks just came out in the last few days saying, hey, we did the math about the investment and the possible return, and you're short 205 billion, or something like that. And it acted like I raised my hand. Anyway, and now I'm going to lower my hand by clicking this thing. Okay, my hand's lowered. Yeah, but they were just saying, oh no, yeah, you're going to miss the mark. You don't have enough investment, and you're not getting enough return, and you're off by $205 billion. 205 billion. And other people are like, well, no, you don't understand. There's going to be some new tech that's going to make it cheaper to do this and more efficient, and and so you're wrong.
No, that was Michael Burry. He's the guy, the Big Short guy, right?
Oh, yeah, Big Short guy.
And then NVIDIA came out with the whole defense, which was apparently really unusual. They got very defensive about the accusation of fraud, which he went back and said, hey, look, I didn't accuse you of fraud. I accuse you of, I'm saying that here's all this other funny stuff. And if you think that, you didn't think that you're doing something illegal, that that's being suggested by somebody else, right?
Yeah.
But he's just saying that it's not a healthy dynamic, and it's not one that should be rewarded, which is why he's shorting all these guys, right?
And we're certainly seeing pump and dump happening a lot with these AI announcements. It's not even a real thing. Like I just said, I'm going to invest 40 billion in you at some point in the future, and all of a sudden their stock market, price goes through the ceiling. And like we saw with Oracle, and of course, what's happened? Oracle's price has now come down 40%. It's cratered. In just the last few weeks.
It's below where where they made the announcement of the $300 billion investment by OpenAI,
OpenAI,
and
and they're
then
like OpenAI, who has no money
no
but
money.
massive losses, right?
But they have they are able to draw a lot of investment, right? But then the question is you have let's say MOUs or these statements of quote unquote a deal. How much of it is real, right? But the crazy thing,
Yeah.
I wrote a piece about RPO actually just before the NVIDIA earnings call.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it was something I had in the hopper. I didn't finish it. It's something that I wrote like 2 months ago, but I finally finished the friggin' thing.
Right.
Basically, this whole idea of RPO or remaining performance obligations, which is basically a pipeline of revenue against existing contracts, right?
Right.
You have companies like Oracle booking the whole friggin' thing. I mean, something like 300 billion. I mean, they're putting it into their RPO, and then they're coming back and saying, "Hey, well," or people are saying, "Look, you don't have that."
That's right. It's an unrealized gain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which may never happen. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think people are now going to ask better questions, which they should.
Yes.
You should not be so naive to just believe all of these friggin' press releases, because you know what? Your reactions are encouraging these bigger numbers that they float out that, I mean,
because everybody gets excited.
Just don't make any sense. Do you know what I'm saying?
I loaded up on some more so stock, and just keep going, baby. I don't really care if it's all bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, why don't we gamble like 1.4 trillion on like something that after 3 years is not quite panning out the way that we hoped.
You started hearing some analysts a few weeks ago starting to kind of caution about the Oracle thing. And when they heard that Oracle was raising lots of debt financing in order to build Stargate and some of the other stuff, as opposed to Microsoft or Meta or other companies that actually have that kind of cash in the bank. And it turns out Oracle doesn't have that cash in the bank. And so they're taking on like 300 billion in debt. And then I read today or yesterday, one of the big investment houses in New York kind of put out a caution flag and a risk thing on Oracle because it's like, and this is what people were saying just a few weeks ago. And I was like, no, it'll be fine. Oracle's been building out OCI, and most of their business is because of the database and Fusion and all that stuff. But there's some people are worried. It's like, wow, but if you do take on 300 billion in debt and all this stuff collapses, someone's going to pick up the phone and call in the loan potentially. And then we're back to the big short again.
Well, people are, when you finance this stuff when you're investing on margin, it's being financed on margin. This is how like financial collapse happens. And it should worry everyone, because it's one thing for the stock to drop or the stocks or the market to drop. It's another for the financial institutions to collapse. That's a totally different thing.
It is.
And that's the real stuff that's like, you want to talk about blast radius. That's the stuff that basically takes down, more than the folks that are in ground zero.
That's right. That's right. And we overuse this, Warren Buffett never understood what was going on with the dot-com thing. And so he didn't invest in it. And then you had the chairman of the Fed saying, what is this, exuberant or whatever, over exuberant, or I forgot. He had this quote that he kept saying during the dot-com thing because it was just frothy.
Irrational exuberance or...
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it's just like, be careful, guys. This whole thing could be nothing.
Greenspan. Greenspan was right.
Greenspan. Greenspan was just like, this is crazy, And everybody's like, no, it's the new internet economy. Everything, we're rewriting the book right now.
And this is where I think it's not that we're being Luddites and trying to throw, monkey wrenches into the works. We've seen this stuff before. I mean, this is, this new generation, especially a new generation who have never seen a bear market or a recession or a depression, you do not know. You reading this crap in novels and books don't compare to actually having been there. You know,
that's for sure.
I was like there for, I was like right in the middle for 5 years, all the way up to the collapse.
Yeah.
I saw all of it. I saw all the good stuff, all the, friggin' $1 million friggin' holiday parties, blah, 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 friggin', it was ridiculous. It was debaucherous. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get that sense out of books. The only documentary that gets it right is a friggin' comedy called Silicon Valley. So
thank you for that.
And it's a funny show, but it's more funny for the people who
yes, because it's all based on some of the bizarre truths that actually went down there, like stuff like, oh, whoa, wait, make sure you don't turn a profit, because as soon as you have profit, then they'll value your company aligned with other people and so you don't want that. So make sure that you're unprofitable. I mean, but that was a thing during the .com era.
Yeah. And you had these folks going around evangelizing how valuation is dead. There's this thing called internet valuation, and we need to rethink, the economy, and it's network this, and had HBS and friggin' Stanford, blah, any of the number of universities coming out with these weird ass theories, debunking conventional methods of evaluating companies.
Right.
They were wrong.
They were so wrong.
Yeah. I mean, they were wrong. And they will be wrong. And these bozos, the bozos that are going around doing the same shit. I mean, we've seen this before. This is the reason why we're calling you bozos. You're a bozo because you had previous bozos that tried to do the same thing, and they were friggin' wrong.
Yeah.
Who knows if these are the same bozos from the previous bozos that are reenacting, like, Bozo 2.0.
Bozo 2.0.
Yeah.
I love that. Bozo 2.0 is the guy with the shoehorn thing. Trying to get the stuff into the shoe of unrealistic expectations or whatever. Yeah. This is great stuff. Other interesting news, positive, whatever. Well, all related to Google. Google's stock price has shot up. Yeah. And it's because of a couple of things. Gemini 3 came out.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are arguing that Gemini 3 just leapfrogged GPT 5.1 and leapfrogged Anthropic. And I played with it, especially the nano banana thing. That's fun. It's pretty impressive. But also the other thing that came out that's maybe probably a bigger deal-ish on the infrastructure side is the realization that the TPUs that Google makes are just as good or better than the Blackwell GPUs that Jensen's making, but they're at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
And then you find out that all this time, Google's been running all their stuff on the TPUs that they manufacture. And so there was news that Dario over Anthropic's I'm in. And so he's going to start using their TPUs. And so that kind of changes the dynamic back to, and NVIDIA stayed on top forever, because nobody can. You have a window of time when you're unique and you're special, but it doesn't last forever.
Yeah. I mean, if Debbie was here, she would have said, new for you. This is something, if you're covering the semiconductor industry and the server market and all this AI infrastructure, you knew that, or AI, you knew that Google has been working on TPUs forever. In fact, Rob, you and I, when we're at our favorite show, IoT Solutions World Congress.
Yes.
17 actually is.
That's right.
I think when Google, we cruised by the Google booth and we were staring at, guess what? The TPU.
Little TPUs, as Isaac would say. Here's your TPU.
Yeah.
I've got a TPU. So,
yeah, and
pretty interesting. So, the news that they've been doing TPUs all along, and now everybody else knows about it. And Gemini 3 is based on using their TPUs, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh,
Yeah.
there's something else out there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Google is really good at data center networking. So is Meta.
Mm-hmm.
And they have technologies that are comparable to NVLink. They're not slouches.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you
Right.
think about, so the funny thing is you have all these guys on CNBC talk about, oh my God, it's a chip war, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, not really. The chips, if you look at the chips, they're pretty much about the same. The chip is not the thing that is really dictating performance anymore, right? It's really the networking. How good is your networking, interconnect, and the efficiency of the entire system, right? And so there are other things that are factoring into the performance, scaling, and efficiency of these large AI training clusters. And that's what, and the fact that Google owns the whole friggin' stack. I mean, even more than, and a commercial stack, right? Not like a friggin' AI infrastructure stack where you're missing everything above it. Google has a friggin' ad business, and they can subsidize all this stuff. They can make everything purpose built. They have a CSP business, right? A cloud service GCP, right? And they can offer all kinds of services that are canned, pre-made, modularized, and then just expressed as services on top of their enterprise AI stuff.
Absolutely.
NVIDIA has that with their AI factory and all that crap, but the thing is they don't have the markets. They're not a friggin' cloud service provider. They don't talk directly to enterprises. Google does.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think it's
and I think we've certainly said with NVIDIA, speaking of what you just said there, I mean, their best play might be, and maybe it is, they're doing a little bit their own cloud and compete against the other hyperscalers. Because at some point, you're right, they're going to go, you know what, you're just a part maker and I need the whole stack, or maybe you need the whole stack, or I don't know.
But it's a good point that you're making there, because they do have DJX Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
They had what's the name of that thing? Like global aggregator of GPU. I forgot the name of the thing, but they have something that they deployed. Probably should follow up on that. I don't know how successful they've been with that.
Right.
It probably was. It's probably not been that successful, and because the neo clouds, there's just so much concentration. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're a neo cloud, you don't have like a gajillion customers, and you probably don't have a lot of capacity that you need to find market for. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right.
So I don't know.
You know how
it's a weird.
You know how we talked about everybody talks about how Apple's missed the boat on this stuff, and yet they're still making lots of money by making phones and stuff. That track we've talked about, where it's possible that as we end up going into a crash, and there's all these AI companies that have gone out of business, Apple will sit back and go, and they will be able to pick up all those businesses for pennies on the dollar. Because Apple, I know they probably felt bad because they've been a laggard in AI, but they've been making stuff that people actually want this whole time. And people have been buying that thing. And so, it makes them a multi-trillion-dollar company. And so when all these other guys, because they're not all going to make it, and that's just life. Whether AI is a success or a failure or somewhere in between, not everybody's going to make it. But Apple could certainly, and I think it was telling when Apple decided we're going to go with Google for Siri, and pay them $1 billion a month or whatever it is. I
don't think it's just Siri. I don't think it's just Google. I think it's going to be other. That's the thing. people tend to forget about Apple is they're truly a global company that has basically plays in all markets, and there are some markets that don't like Google. Google is straight out banned. Some of the biggest markets, actually.
Oh,
so
right. Like China.
Yeah, like China. So
no Google in China.
And then I think there's growing. We have the geopolitics going on, increased concerns about AI being owned by just like a few massive companies. So Europe, you're probably going to see a bit of schizophrenia, a lot of regulations. Even above and beyond what we already see them either having instituted or in the process of institutionalizing. But I think people didn't understand what winning in AI means for Apple, because they fundamentally don't understand Apple, because most people still think that they're an iPhone company.
Right.
They don't understand that Apple is so much more than that, and they're not just about producing widgets and things like that. They haven't been for a long time, but if you're a Wall Street guy, that's all you're going to focus on, because those are the things that actually.
They just think, how many iPhones did you ship?
Yeah, but then they're also
the big thing, which is Apple Silicon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it.
You're right. And so Europe's doing the sovereign thing now. Every other time I read something about Europe, it's digital sovereignty, it's data sovereignty. We need to have our own clouds. We need to disconnect from American hyperscalers. I hear that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And so you've got other local players, much smaller, trying to OVH cloud, or was it OHV cloud? There's some other players over there trying to do the thing, and more power to them. And if you want opportunity, folks, why don't you go build a cloud just for Europeans and make sure it's there, and don't have it connected to the US? That's an opportunity. I wonder, so Apple in China, who do you think they're going to use? Who's going to be their AI partner there? Do you think it'll be Alibaba or Huawei or Tencent?
Yeah.
I mean, I think AliCloud might have the best AI right now. I think they've got Qwen.
That Qwen model is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
New one. And it's funny because even we've mentioned this before. People don't talk about it much, but whenever you see a Jensen Huang slide on how fast and how performant the newest Blackwell Ultra is, or whatever, Vera Rubin, they always show DeepSeek as the poster child for kick-ass.
Yeah.
And I think that should bother everybody. These folks that thought that DeepSeek was a nothing burger. There were a lot of people, a lot of analysts, a lot of AI infrastructure analysts too, who basically dismissed it. You were wrong.
Well, they were. It's like, I don't know because you're right. There's the outcome that we got that basically suppressed all the excitement around DeepSeek. And I don't know, because we all read a lot of the same stuff. Was there a concerted effort by a bunch of players in the US, in other words, to downplay and to try to make it seem like it was a nothing burger or whatever? In other words, what I'm getting at was, did people honestly think it was a nothing burger, or was there a concerted effort? I know this sounds like conspiracy theory stuff, by a bunch of people to say it was no big deal. Remember when what was the version that came out, or whatever, in the spring? It blew everybody away. Yeah. And I downloaded it and ran a smaller, parameter one on my laptop and talked locally. And it's like, this is the shit. Yeah. And so and it should have taken, and it did take over all the news media and suck the oxygen out of the room for a little while. But then I think a whole lot of people who got freaked out, that because it threatens all these American companies' businesses. When they say we didn't use that many GPUs, or we didn't need this, or we don't need that giant infrastructure.
Yeah.
Who would be happy about that is the CEOs and CFOs of most companies that says, I sure would like to get some of that benefit without having to build billion-dollar data centers that I can't afford.
There you go. Right.
DeepSeek kind of showed a path to a more economical future for getting that bang for your buck.
Well, and then it flies in the face of reasoning models requiring X number of thousands of tokens. Well, it just divide that by 100. That's not really great math for a lot of the scaling crap that the AI infrastructure guys are putting out there right now to drive perception of demand. More tokens. We need more tokens. Well, you got like a sparse MOE, highly efficient, and basically can pump out a quality answer with far less tokens than what you assumed. And guess what?
Right.
And they're only getting better at that. And no one's really explained why it is that the Chinese are able to basically get that same level of quality, what they call state of the art. SOTA is the new acronym. SOTA performance with incredible efficiency, right?
Totally.
And there was a ton of downplaying. First, you had what's his face, Sam Altman, flying to Washington, whining that DeepSeek has stolen all their IP, and then he backtracked.
I know.
And then Meta at the time, we have to remember this because people friggin' forget. Meta at the time was going to release Llama 4. Didn't, and it was a flop. They were also claiming that DeepSeek stole everything or whatever. Apparently couldn't read the white paper. And the rest is history. And then all of a sudden you get to hot chips. Everyone's talking about kernel programming, all kinds of stuff under the hood, below CUDA, optimizations that you do literally between the kernel and the hardware. I mean, this is the crazy stuff that having high quality, full stack, AI engineers can do. And actually, I think I mentioned at one point, CUDA has made the AI industry in the US lazy, right? Because I think DeepSeek proved that if you have to drive the most efficient architecture and models, you need to go below CUDA. You can't have lazy general purpose. You have to literally, let me take whatever accelerator I have, let me understand it, and let me go and friggin' optimize it for what I know I need to do.
Right.
This is why they came up with, literally a full stack of tweaks that nobody thought of because everybody was like lazy working with the NVIDIA stuff.
Exactly.
And then the whole time, Jensen's telling everyone, buy more and save more.
Exactly. It sounds like a commercial.
Buy more and make more. I mean, right. So if you really think about it, at some point, we're going to come back to this episode and going to be reminding everyone, this is what undermined the U.S. Movement. We got lazy because of CUDA.
There you go. Got lazy because of CUDA.
Right?
And also CUDA, CUDA created a moat for those guys, for Jensen's. And a lot of people are like, you know what? Why can't we have easy to use open source, software libraries to talk to these things, because I know Lisa Su wants people to use her accelerators and not use CUDA. Lip Bhutan, I'm sure he's hoping one day that the Gaudi or whatever comes later can be used. I think they have the Open Vino is what Intel's always had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah,
One API and all that
that's
stuff.
how it
Yeah.
should be. I get it. Business is business,
But
and you know what?
yeah.
I get it. You want to. In fact, the goal of business, as Peter Thiel would call it in 0 to 1, the ultimate goal is to create a monopoly and to lock out everybody. Now, and he doesn't mean that in a bad way, but the goal is if you're super successful, you have just created a whole world for yourself, and you dominate it, and nobody has a chance. And it looks like a monopoly. Monopolies are not illegal. They can, if you use monopoly power badly, then yeah, you can get in trouble.
Uncompetitive, monopolistic behavior or uncompetitive behavior is
right.
illegal. And that's a big difference. You're absolutely right. But here's the thing where we need to, I think the audience should reflect back on some of our prior episodes where we talk about open. I think open is good for diffusion, facilitating diffusion, but that's after everything has already been kind of optimized at a very foundational level, and then you're abstracting up, and then there's like a consumption level, right, closer to the app stuff, where open can be definitely beneficial. But what Apple has proven, and only Apple at this point, NVIDIA, maybe time will tell, is they've basically taken that whole stack and they've diffused at a massive scale, but they've channeled extreme quality and optimization through that whole stack that you can't get through an open approach, right? And you still can't get that through an open approach. And so, I did that. Article on what is it? AI, practical AI for telco with Ericsson, right? That was my whole point. And we had a couple of, one guy who I know, he came in and said, well, how come you're advocating for, like friggin' purpose built and all this stuff? Because purpose built is proven it works, and friggin' they have stuff in the field that works. That's quote unquote, one or two tiers of this AI RAN crap that you guys are talking about, which by the way, I think is like kind of a ridiculous concept. Yeah. It's just kind of goofy, but you know what I'm saying?
I remember when I remember when I was at Ericsson and there was the idea of using machine learning to train models in the network to determine predictive pathways and more efficiency for how things to go. It had nothing to do with this generative AI stuff, though. It was super purpose-built, super narrowly focused ML models. And I remember us doing a partnership with NVIDIA to accelerate those ML models. And all that makes sense to me. It's like I want to make my network more faster and more efficient, lower cost for my customers, all that good stuff. And so, but some of this is just bonkers.
Yeah. And, as you and I have talked about so many times, the economics of the edge is a bitch.
It is a bitch. You're right.
And so whatever you assume, works somewhere else, don't assume it works at the edge.
Exactly. Boy, I know. We're just making so many people not happy with us.
Yeah.
You know what? I have a great quote here. One of my tech buddies in Seattle, he said the funniest thing. It was about open source, and this will make every open source person hate us instantly, or at least hate me.
Dude, they would have hated us a long time ago. We've been saying stuff for like friggin' 6 years.
That's true. I mean, we open source, but gosh, let me find it. It's here. I'm looking in my WhatsApp app here. It was really funny, but he was basically just blasting open source. He's a business owner, and he's just like, show me how that's going to be a big moneymaker ever. I know we've had a lot of startups based on open source in the last decade and a half. But I've heard insane stuff about open source, like it's some socialist conspiracy or something like that. It's an
Well,
ideology.
yeah. I mean, there is something to actually wanting to compete and not just throwing everything out there in a kumbaya kind of way. I mean,
right. Absolutely. No, you're right. Yeah, I think everything has its place. There's the kumbaya thing, and all those kumbaya open source people who built all that great technology that AWS used to build their cloud, and then they're all sitting there waiting to get a check that never comes, and AWS built the biggest cloud in the world. Sorry, hey, guys. Thanks for the free software.
Yeah, we're going to build a business around it. We're going to implement it. We're going to deliver applications built on this stuff as a service and make a crap ton of money.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like, that's, yeah. And everyone complains about them and.
Yeah. Hey, so like, if we think, remember all that talk when, what's her name? The CFO for OpenAI came out and talked about needing a backstop from the government to like a bailout.
Oh,
and she had to walk that one back. She's like, that's not what I meant, whatever. But a whole lot of people are like, what?
Yeah.
It's also important that we need to make sure the U.S. government backs us as we do the most ludicrous amount of money spending and stuff to build all this thing that,
Yeah.
It's such a weird deal. I get like when we the Oracle when we're going in to this thing. This counterpoint, what we're saying is, and I'm sure that's what Clay and everybody there at Oracle is thinking. We are at this moment in time, and we need to seize this moment. They're like this transformational thing, and if we sit back and just watch it happen, we'll be the losers in the next wave. And so we have no choice but to try to go make sure that we're a leader or a part of this in a giant way. And we have no choice, something like that. Like that whole, we got to seize this opportunity that's presented to us.
Which I think is kind of sad because I have to be very honest with you, and we've mentioned this on the show as well. Larry Ellison probably knew cloud, what a good cloud strategy was, even more than AWS and these other guys. He had a great cloud strategy, and they also have a great business, right? Generating huge amounts of cash flow, and they're putting all that on the friggin', table, and they're gambling on it, And I have to be honest, I don't think it's going to go well, but that's just
we'll find out.
On what I'm seeing, I have to be very honest about it. But as an analyst, you can't. I mean, if you look at the cards on the table, it ain't looking all that great. Even though there are narratives out there that want to continue to pump the hype and excitement. The math doesn't add up. So what do you do?
Did Masa-san sell all his NVIDIA stock to help
to get cash
towards Stargate and OpenAI and Oracle and all that big investment that he committed to?
No comment.
No, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, but do you know what I'm saying? It's Oracle, going back to that comment you made before, has a friggin' great ass business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you took out all of the AI infrastructure or NeoCloud stuff that they're doing, core is and fantastic.
It's good stuff. They built a great cloud.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we got a lot of friends over there, and I want nothing but things for Oracle. Just like looking at big mega trends that are happening and choices that people are making, and will it play out? Will it won't? And a whole lot of people, Oracle is just one of many who have said, yes, this is the moment. We've got to meet the moment, and we're going to do this thing. Because Amazon's doing it, Microsoft's doing it, everybody's doing it. Everybody who has the money to do it. And then even those who people don't money, like the startups who are doing the neo clouds, that just getting VC funding or funding from wherever, I don't know, to build their GPU data centers, and they're yeah, okay, it's a circular economy. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, in the middle of it's really not as much money as everyone thinks it is, right?
Yeah.
In terms of
Yeah.
on the investment side, definitely. But what's hydrating it? Where's the organic?
Right, because like Microsoft throws money at an unnamed neocloud, and then Microsoft uses that neocloud as overflow GPU usage for
Yeah.
Copilot because they don't have enough in Azure potentially, or we're running in. And so it's like
No, it's basically
it's that Spider-Man picture where they're all three
yeah.
guys, Spider-Man pointing at each other. That's how we're gonna do that. That's how we're gonna this whole circular AI economy. I'm paying you, but then you're gonna give me this, and then I'm doing this, and we're all just trading trillions amongst each other. And it's just a handful of companies literally propping up the entire economy. There's a lot of people, financial people, who are like, the economy has actually been crashing for a while, but we've had this illusion on Wall Street that things are great, but it really has been propped up by just a handful of companies just sliding trillions around. But it's wild.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. $1 billion used to be a big number.
Yeah. Now
these guys are like around 100. I mean, it's like, hey, let's see how they'll respond to a trillion.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Just that reminds me of a scene in Wall Street, which I use lots of Wall Street references. I remember Gordon Gekko is in his limo with Bud Fox, and they're kind of driving down through New York, and he goes, "Oh, you see that little building over there? That was my first real estate deal. It cost me like $800,000. I thought that was all the money in the world. Now it's just a day's pay.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Just like you said, $1 billion. It's chump change now.
Yeah. It's crazy. All right, man.
Well, this has been an amazing, deep, and varied episode of AI Coffee Talk. I think people I think we've dropped more knowledge about AI and all the players and what's happening than you're going to hear on most of any of the high-end AI podcasts. So it's probably a good thing people are showing up in the trillions. That's good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This is gonna be like a time capsule for us.
It is.
It'll be buried. Nobody knows about it, and one of these days, aliens will uncover it and watch it and go, "Oh, hey."
Exactly. So, are you flying to Vegas tomorrow?
Yeah.
All right, me too.
Yeah, reInvent next week.
reInvent.
So we'll be there.
All in.
Yeah.
At the win. We're all in with the win,
Yes. And my schedule is ridiculously packed. Oh my God.
Solid. And I keep having all these other people from other companies, vendors who are also there that are not AWS, but they want to meet with you. Hey, I heard that you're at reInvent.
Yeah.
Can you carve out some time for me? I was like, dude, you should see the calendar. There's no way. We're just solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
I think I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there an extra day just so that I can get out on the exhibition floor.
Yeah. Right.
That's one of the problems with events where GTC is like this, where the AR program sucks all the oxygen out of your schedule, and you don't get to see anything. And this year at GTC, the most interest, I would say about 80% of the analyst stuff, it was just stuff that we could have just freaking send me the press release or send me the brief, whatever.
Absolutely.
The two sessions I went to the first day where I snuck out of the program, I got 90% of the insight. Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Everything else was just like, oh my God. All right, here, let me spoon feed you stuff. It's like, look, I'm not a baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't need the party line. I want to ask tough questions.
Exactly.
I want to get answers. I don't need you lecturing me about how I need to think about stuff.
You almost sound like Dr. Evil while you're talking right now. I have info, you know. I'm surrounded by freaking idiots.
Well, I mean, ideally, that's what you do as an analyst, right? You want to ask those questions that are,
I need sharks with freaking laser beams.
So it'll be fun. I mean,
it'll be fun.
It's gonna be
We're gonna
really
see a lot of people we know. It'll be fun. Yeah. We'll have a good time. You know, when I think of the Win and Next Door Encore, I always think of our favorite Sinatra Italian place there at Encore.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, they are only open like a few days, and it's probably not while we're there. I don't know. You never know.
Well, anyway, so we'll be in Vegas again for CES. So
it seems like everybody we know is going to be at CES.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a blast.
Yeah,
we're going to have a good time at CES.
Thanks Industries, right?
Yes. Much love for those guys. Thank you. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We're going to
know everybody, dude.
Everybody knows as it turns out. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, man. You want to wrap it up, or?
Sure. Thanks for another fabulous episode of AI/IoT Coffee Talk, where we just went deeper than the all-in guys, deeper than the moonshot guys on AI. Even though neither of us have PhDs from MIT, it turns out we really know the deal in ways that they don't. So don't always drink the Kool-Aid like a lot of these other people. They might have other alternative, ulterior motives for their companies and their stock portfolios and stuff like that. And so it may not be getting the real deal. And luckily, as it turns out, as Leonard said, we know everybody and they all know us and we know what's really going on. We know the scoop. The thing's going to end up with three Spider-Man guys pointing at each other going, who's the one that actually has cash? Right. Yes. Oh my gosh. So oh my God. So yes, I'm broadcasting live from Houston, Texas. Yeah. And so that's exciting. It's a little warmer than Seattle and a little sunnier. So I guess we'll have to take that. That's a good thing.
Yeah. And that's not a virtual background. That's actually his home. That's like one of the many blank.
It's a blank wall. Yes. If it sounds echoey in here, it's because it's hardwood floors and I have no furniture or no rugs because the furniture is not here yet. So I'm literally sitting on the floor. Who knows? And so the big thing I know you're always wanting from Leonard and I, since we kind of know what's going to happen in the future better, is the future going to be like Logan's Run, or is the future going to be like The Matrix? Well, you'll need to tune in next week, and as we kind of peel the onion and give you more of that information. Which would you prefer, Leonard? Would you like The Matrix, be plugged into The Matrix, or the Logan's Run thing, knowing that you're probably not going to get renewed at age 30?
I think there's a third one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Idiocracy. That's true.
I don't know if it's on one end or the other.
No, right? Idiocracy is it's a valid outcome. Like we've talked about too. If the unemployment thing happens and people are laid off because of AI, which may or may not be a thing, but if it is, we will hit a threshold where enough people will be disgruntled and out of work. Humans' behavior changes when things are really, really bad. They don't behave like a civilized person anymore, and they'll do things that you will not expect. And so there is the possible other Mad Max outcome where we burn society to the ground, So who knows?
Yeah. Or we all go Amish.
Or we go Amish. Yeah.
Go full Battlestar Galactica Amish mode. Yeah.
I like that. That's true.
We actually make things.
We make things.
Yeah.
We make things. I really encourage everyone out there to go rewatch Logan's futuristic movie, around the same time frame as Star Wars and Alien. Interesting possible future. Because I've heard some people say that we should have this AI superintelligence run our countries and run the world because humans don't do a good enough job on their own, and that we're warlike and we've got all these problems. And so this benevolent AI should so and we be subservient or do whatever it does, and it controls everything, which is kind of, we've seen dystopian movies where that's been the case. So who knows? Who knows?
Yes.
Maybe,
all I know is Rob needs better 5G.
Yeah. Yes, I am tethered to my smartphone, and it's kind of crappy. I don't have really good signal here. I need to go see where the nearest cell tower is, right? And then I need to check on that backhaul network.
Yes, we do.
Such telco guys. All right, bro. I will see you soon in Las Vegas.
See ya. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Woohoo! I'm stuffed.